Think you've got a story to tell? The Orlando Story Club is all ears. I'm talking with the club's hosts, Danielle Ziss and Bobby Wesley, to find out how everyone can participate. Tell me about yourselves in the Orlando Story Club.
I'm Bobby Wesley. I'm one of the hosts of Orlando Story Club. I'm a writer and storyteller about town. Danielle, my lovely, bubbly co-host, is largely the same. Also, she's a writer and very talented person, produces, directs, and we've been running Orlando Story Club for about 5 years now. And we've had a really great time helping grow this little bit of community across Orlando.
Yeah, so Orlando Story Club is the only storytelling competition show in Orlando. We say competition show, but it's really just a community building event. So anyone can come to the show. The way it works is we pick a theme for each one. We have shows every other month, roughly.
So, yeah.
And we do them at CityArts, where we are right now.
Beautiful gallery.
And it's a $5 donation to attend. That $5 goes to CityArts. And if you want to tell a story, you put your name in a hat. We randomly draw 10 names, and that's who determines who tells a story for that night. They get 5 minutes to tell their story, and then some judges, we say judges because they're not like too harsh, from the audience are selected to give scores, 1 through 10, and the top 3 win a local prize.
Yeah. So it's community-driven storytelling. These are real-life stories, experiences from people's lives. They're range from the youth of our community to some of our experienced folks from not just Orlando but all over the country. It's a real interesting way to connect with people. And regardless of what the theme is, regardless of what the story is, you find ways to connect with people that you might not have realized that you do, or you would have otherwise. And sometimes the stories are funny, they're heartfelt. Some are like crushing, but in a beautiful way. And the whole time it's a really great way to kind of meet other people in your community and connect through sharing similar experiences.
Yeah, the story has to be true. So it can't be like a folk tale or a story from a movie or that you wrote for a play. It has to be something from your true life. We want it to be emotional. We want it to be something that audience members can identify with so that you build true connections. Right. So really, it's just about building family through storytelling. And
the true stories give me an opportunity to riff dumb jokes throughout the whole thing, which is really, to me, one of the most important parts.
They're always dumb.
But we have a good time doing it. That's the most important part.
Yeah.
All right. So which person's true tragedy story you're making fun of?
Well, no, but you find the light and the beauty in any kind of experience. You know what I mean? Whether it's a high school experience where you said something at the wrong time or you were embarrassed for this reason or not, or if it's something you learned from a close family member or family friend. There are these kind of through lines throughout that I think we can all kind of latch onto. And regardless of the experience, it's still genuine, and I think that really comes through on our stage. We've done, it seems like 100 of these shows at this point, and we've heard like so many stories over and over again. And I joke we've only had wonderful shows because the audience is there and they're supportive and they want to hear whatever that experience is. The storytellers, we have professional storytellers who tour on festivals, and then we have first-time tellers who have never taken a stage or a microphone in their lives. And they're all amazing because when it's coming from the heart and the audience is there and they're supportive, you're given this license to really kind of open yourself up. And it makes every show unique, but every show really beautiful.
Yeah, we joke that it's therapy. It's like story time therapy,
Exactly, right. Yeah.
Because when you share a piece of your personal life with a bunch of strangers, the only thing that comes out of that is acceptance. Right. And that's why it's so beautiful. So so we're not too judgmental.
No. And that's why we say it's a competition because, hey, we like to win things. Who doesn't like to have a prize? But,
America.
But yes, exactly. But by and large, it's really just about that. It's about sharing. It's about opening yourself up. And it's just about, just learning from each other, really. So it's a really great experience, yeah.
All right. And you said true stories. Do you ever have like a true false day?
Oh, that's a good idea.
We haven't, but that's really fun. We've joked about different sorts of themes. Like we've done special one-offs with the SAC comedy folks, and we've done them with sort of other collaborations. So we're always looking for new opportunities. But yeah, 3 truths and a lie or something would be pretty good.
I really like that a lot. We're always trying to come up with new and fresh themes because we've done this so many times. Usually the themes are like one word or just a few words. So truth or a lie, that might be really fun.
And we certainly we've attracted some characters, as you can imagine. So there's a few that we've come to our stage that we've become friends with over time. You're like, I'm not exactly sure that that's a real thing. Last time historically story was about this thing, and this time he seems to be in a different part of the world or something. So there may be some creative license, we'll say, they're taking with it, but we allow a little bit of liberties.
We don't do fact checking at Story Club.
Yeah. This isn't the New Yorker. You can you can spin a yarn, and we'll probably let you get away with it.
What can people expect when they're attending an Orlando Story Club event?
Oh, well, I think the big thing is you can expect like a comfortable, safe space to just be. So there's no expectation when you come in. You don't have to participate if it's not something you want to do. So storytellers are all on a volunteer basis. But we do have ways that you can participate anonymously. So you want to tell them about a one-liner?
Oh, one-liners are a really fun part of the show because, again, not everyone wants to get on stage, but they enjoy either story listening or they have a fun story from their life, and they either don't want to make it a 5-minute thing, they might be shy, or it might just be one funny little line or two that they think would be fun to share. And so we have a separate hat, you can write that down and throw it in, and then Danielle and I will randomly throughout the show read them anonymously from the stage. And so sometimes you get some real oddball things out there. Sometimes I, despite having no singing voice, almost always pull the ones that are songs. That happened at our last event too, which it seems to be a running trend. But yeah, so they come from all over the place. So it's a fun way for other people to engage and contribute without necessarily having to plan a 5-minute story for a few weeks of their lives or whatever else.
Yeah,
You know,
so we call them a one-liner, but essentially what it is they get a note card and they can write anything from one word all the way to filling the note card out. And since they don't put their name on it, we have no context as to who wrote it or what it means, and we just read it on stage and we decide what it means in the moment for the audience.
That's right, yeah.
It can get really silly. It can get serious too,
Sure.
like it can get really emotional.
Yeah.
Orlando Story Club is like the roller coaster of human life. So you get some stories that are somber or sad or like deep emotion. You get some that are hilarious. I think we just had a show yesterday and we were like on the floor laughing for half the show. It was so funny.
All of the reaction shots from that show is nothing but the biggest uproarious laughter because I feel like even the difficult stories that were shared were still there were those little moments that you could really pull out and you saw the humanity. But yeah, it's really, and that's what you're going to get. You're going to get an open environment, a very welcoming crowd, whether performers or story listeners. But you're also just going to hear really heartfelt and very just earnest stories, and that's the best part of the whole thing.
What recommendations do you have for those who want to join or come to an event at the Orlando Story Club?
Yeah, well, first of all, we're not a club, which is really tricky because our name suggests that we are, but we're not a club. So there's no membership, there's no annual meeting or anything like that. We just meet every other month.
If you have a story to tell, you're part of the club. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Everyone is part of the club.
Everyone's
Even if you haven't been, like you are part of the club.
Yes.
But we do recommend that if you want to try storytelling and story writing, come to the event and listen because you learn a lot just from watching other people share about their lives. And I would say there's a good percentage that attends somewhat regularly that are writers. Bobby and I are both writers as part of our profession, so we do a lot within that creative space. So we're happy to help people. And occasionally we do things like workshops where we'll help people learn how to write. We're partnering with Orange County Library soon to help people learn how to write. We do a lot of work with Orlando Fringe. And other things. And Bobby mentioned it earlier, but we also do spin-off shows that are curated. So if we find people who do this as a profession or want to do it on a stage more professionally, we can take it to a place like SAC Comedy Lab, to the Abbey, which is where we used to do most of our shows, and we do a lot of collaborations throughout town.
Yeah, and I think if people are coming for the first time, or if they're kind of just hearing about storytelling, or they hear our prompt, whatever the show theme is for that. A lot of times the folks that are geared up to take the stage, that prompt immediately will just bring something to mind, like a moment, a story, an experience that they had, something funny or something weird, and then like that kind of energy starts to crackle throughout, and then you want to start putting a story together. There's no right or wrong way to write a story or prepare for it, because there's lots of people that do it different ways. Some that write everything out very meticulously and really work on the details, and some people that just like to wing it. Like Danielle is.
I'm a winger for sure.
I've learned rehearsal, but it took a long time because I'm more of an off-the-cuff sort of person in my usual life. But you find different ways to put a story together, and then some people will just come and they'll be halfway through the show, and at intermission they'll throw their name in the hat because it just inspiration struck them and now they're ready to perform. So there's, again, no wrong or right way to experience the event or prepare. It's just whatever the prompt means to you. You know, it's and as you hear stories, things from your own life are going to come to mind, and that's a really fun part of it too. One of my first stories that I told on stage, the theme was tweendom. So whatever from your tweenage years. And the story that I came up with, at this time I was not writing things out in advance and I just kind of riffed it on stage, was about a time when I was in middle school and I started selling comic books in the hallways and created something of my own monopoly, my own kingpin status within my middle school. And I've since expanded that story and told it on stages at festivals, whatever. But the genesis of it was on this stage at Orlando Story Club.
Yeah, and my first experience at Orlando Story Club was telling a story before we started hosting it and producing the show. And my theme was breaks.
I think so.
And breaks could mean taking a break. It can mean something that actually breaks. My story was about how my leg actually broke in a car accident and how people viewed me as broken because of my disability. So it was a conversation about how disabilities don't break you. So it can really run the gamut on things. We have a show coming up later this year. The theme is lit, and it's going to be people celebrating, events that were popping, happening. It can be a candle that was lit. It can be anything.
The time you lit your uncle's shed on fire. It could be anything.
And like our goal with the themes is to keep them broad so that you can get artistic people coming up with all different types of meanings to that word or to that phrase.
That's right.
So yeah.
What common stories or themes are you hearing at the Orlando Story Club?
Wow.
I don't think we get very many common stories.
I do think, you know, there are often times of stories of family, of either, you know, parents and children or siblings and those sort of experiences. Teenage shenanigans do come up on occasion, or, you know, college-age nonsensory. That does happen from time to time.
We did have a show last night here at CityArts that somebody got up and rapped, and it was a rap they wrote when they were, 13
something
or something?
Like that.
Something like, you know, when they were just a young teenager, and it was incredible.
Yes, because she was in basically a girls band group that they had put together, and they all had their intricate personalities.
Yeah.
And our friend Elizabeth she was the rapper of the group. I don't know, I think she did a great job.
She did. But the point being that, like, you really get so many different things. There are, of course, common themes of human connection and struggle and triumph and, you know, lessons learned, because that's personal storytelling.
Yeah.
But it really runs the gamut of all different types of things.
That's right.
Which is why it's so good.
What do you feel is the importance of having a club like yours?
You know, as many opportunities as there are for connection, social media or others, I don't feel like we often take the time to really sit down and listen to each other for an extended time. That's why I love longer form interviews like this or podcasts or anything like that, because so often you hear from someone that you might know or admire, or someone that you're just meeting for the first time, and you only have these little snippets that you might get. But when you can listen to someone, let them take 5 minutes of their life and share it with you, and you can sit and reflect and be a good active listener and really engage in it, it forces you to, one, give someone else their space, and then also reflect on it as well. And that's a thing that we don't really get to do very often. Even some of our closest friends, I feel like we don't always really sit and take the time to ask questions and listen and really hear. So I think it's a really important thing to have that space where people can actually share.
Yeah, and also the theater and performance communities can be really tough to get into. I think one great thing about Story Club is it's not professional necessarily, and anybody can join and do it. Like, anybody can get on our stage. You don't have to have experience, and you're going to be welcomed no matter what your level is of storytelling. And it allows you to really be seen and be heard, like Bobby was saying, and it builds beautiful connections. You know, it's not uncommon for us, our closest friends, to come from people who just told a story one time. There's people who come that share stories from their life and then never share anything ever again. It was a one-time story, but it was so healing, they come back every single time to listen to other people's story.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, we are really lucky in Orlando. There's so much creativity, and there's so many theaters and stages. We've got a great stand-up comedy scene, and we have improv performers, and we have all of the wonderful folks that work down at the parks. But there are barriers to entry to become a stand-up comedian, even on a local stage. But here, there is no barrier to entry. You throw a name in the hat and you have just as good of odds of being pulled as anyone else, whether they're a professional teller or, again, someone who's just always wanted to try out performance. So yes, it's an unproduced show. And one of the things we always say we love is the show is happening as we experience it too, because we don't know what the names are in the hat, we don't know what they're gonna say, but regardless of that experience, like that kind of adds to the energy and the excitement of not knowing exactly what we're all about to experience together.
Yeah, and there's something really beautiful about things that are not practiced and planned and curated. It's just raw a lot of the time, and that's the best way to connect to others.
Yeah, well, yeah, and life is messy sometimes, and so are the stories.
Always.
your experiences that turn into stories, those were probably messy at the time too, so that's okay. We like polished stories, and we love messy stories.
Yep, we love them all.
Yep.
How can someone who's more timid attend and participate? Do you have any advice for them, how to get them out of their timidness?
Well, the first step, I mean, I feel like these days, if you leave the house and you go out into the world and you decide to attend something that you've always wanted to, you've already won. Regardless of what you engage, like doing the thing is so often difficult to do. But yeah, we're again, we don't require anyone to tell a story, so you can sit in the back and enjoy them. And but other than that, we're a very engaging and very community-driven audience. So I felt like even the first-time attendees, by the time the event is over, we're all shaking hands, giving hugs, and we kind of know each other a little bit better. So even if you are anxious, I think, to come in or participate or even throw your name in, throw a one-liner in the hat, someone in the audience is probably going to engage you and ask about like what brought you here and what you're excited about and what. There's a prompt for each event. So what's your story for this? It's a real easy way to break the ice.
Yes, prompts are really helpful if you're a first-time writer or just trying to get out talking about yourself, because not everyone does that in their writing. So you might be a great writer, but you don't talk about yourself. So we give you prompts, we make it easy. And it's very casual, like we give out hugs if people want them. It's just a very friendly, open, community building thing.
Is there anything else you would like to share with our viewers?
You know, I try to reflect as I write and as we host these, and I've been really, really thankful to be a part of this organization and be friends with Danielle and all of the people that I've gotten to meet through Orlando Story Club and through this community and all of the great creatives we have around. You know, I, in my professional life, wrote for other people, and I always wanted to find a way to write for myself, and this really gave me an outlet for that. And I feel like Orlando Story Club has not only helped me grow personally and creatively, but it's been really wonderful to have met so many people through this organization and see how they've come out of their shell or how they've grown, or to see how they've progressed as performers or just people in our Orlando community.
Yeah, I think Bobby and I talk regularly about how lucky we feel to have this supported by the community. You know, the Downtown Arts District is amazing. They do a lot for the arts. I think a lot of people don't naturally associate storytelling with arts, but it is. It's a creative process. It's a beautiful art. And the Downtown Arts District gives us a platform and a space to do that. So we're super grateful that it's supported by the community. And it's just a wonderful thing that makes us feel good. So we encourage everyone to come out and feel good.
And it almost seems sappy to say, but some of my best friends I've met over the last 5 years through this wonderful organization.
It's true.
The people who are liking my Facebook posts and that I'm quickest to give a hug when I run into at the coffee shop tend to be people that we've run into because of this great event. So we're real thankful for it.
And how can people learn more, get in touch?
Well, we do have an active Facebook page, so Facebook/Orlando Story Club, I think, is the best way to do it. We are on Instagram as well. So we have a listserv and all those things, but the best way is to just, look up our events, the next one that's here, and then come out and experience it for yourself, because there's no video, there's no recap that can really explain the magic that sometimes can happen when you get a bunch of people together and start sharing experiences. So we just invite people to come out and see it for themselves.
Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
And wow, it's just a unique experience, and I'd like to attend one time.
We're putting you on the stage
That's
for the
right.
show.
We're bringing you out.
Oh, I didn't say that. Thanks so
Tales
much.
from the commission, I want to get on.
Oh, I got some stories.
Yeah,
bet.
Tales from Puerto Rico. Like, there's so many angles we could do. True and false. Your idea, so now you got to come out and do it.
All right, well, thanks so much.
Thank you.
If you're enjoying this show, please subscribe to our channel and follow our Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter accounts.